So my last video didn't really make any sense. I didn't really have anything planned. And to be completely honest, I probably will never have anything planned. I don't have anything planned as of now. So I hate a lot of things. I hate a lot of aspects of people, and I like to rant. And so that's what I'm going to do for you today. Congratulations. So I don't know if any of you have heard this quote, but it goes along the lines of never confuse education with intelligence. And I love this quote, and I just think it's so truthful, and people have a tendency to confuse intelligence with education, and if you do poorly in school, that means you're dumb, and that couldn't be farthest from the truth. I've graduated from high school. I know, it's crazy, and I mentioned in my last video, I look really young, and I do. So though I may look like I'm 12, I'm not 12, but for all you who are in high school, I feel like it's appropriate to make this video. So up until high school, I was a straight A student. Straight A's, honor roll, teacher's pet. But when I got to high school, my grades started to drop. And I have dyslexia, so as the workload doubled and I had half the time to get done, it became a lot harder for me. And before, it was really easy. I had a lot of time to get that work done, so it was easier for me to get an A. But in high school, I was losing sleep. I was being extremely frustrated with myself for why I couldn't get an A, and what did that mean if I didn't. And so what does it mean not to get an A? It doesn't mean anything. It honestly doesn't, guys. It means you didn't memorize enough and you weren't able to spit it back out on a test. That's honestly what it means. Do not have a letter grade or a GPA define you. That's what I want to tell you guys, because honestly, people get so stressed out, including myself. When I was in high school, I would bawl my eyes out and have panic attacks over these stupid grades when you should not be that worried about them. And I know, like, for all you going in high school, don't just, throw it all away and be like, well, if they don't matter. Because they do matter in a sense, but don't be so stressed on it that it takes over your whole life. Live. When you're in high school, you are a kid. If you want to believe it or not, you should be grateful for the fact, my dog, but you should be grateful in the fact that you're a kid. It's not a bad thing to be a kid. My high school years were 3 of my favorite years. My freshman year was not my favorite. I had no friends, and I sat alone at lunch every day, it made me a stronger person, to be completely honest. I'm kind of glad that I sat alone, because it taught me something, and it helped me grow as a person, and had me not be so dependent on other people to make me feel comfortable with myself. My sophomore, junior, and senior years were really good years for me, and it's okay if that's not the same for you, okay? I know so many people who just hated high school, and they were some of their worst years of their life, and that's completely okay. It gets better. I'm not lying when I say that, and you will hear it from a lot of people, and you might not believe it, and you might just be starting high school and you're like, I'm never going to make it these next 3 years, but you have to have faith, and you will make it. It will get better, I'm telling you. But you have to have a positive attitude. And people are treating you like shit, just screw them. Like, who needs them? Obviously, they have their own problems if they're picking on you. But for high school, it was pretty good for me, except for my grades. Socially, it was better, but academically, no. And I remember getting so stressed out because I couldn't get these grades up. I do have respect for education, and I feel it has a place, and it can really help develop someone's intelligence, and if they are willing to learn. But the downfall is people put so much emphasis on it that if you're just not someone who does well in school, and you're not really a school person, some people aren't. Some people aren't school people. They're more work ethic like, and there's nothing wrong with them. No one's beneath someone else. Like, you're both equal. But there's so much stress on the one that when people aren't that one, they get nervous that there's something wrong with them, and they go crazy. And it pisses me off that people have this image that you have to get an education to be smart. It means fucking nothing. Some of the dumbest people get an education, and some people that have never gotten an education are the smartest people you will ever meet. And it also bothers me because the kids that do well in school, since there's such this like societal emphasis on education, and how If you have a 4.0, that means something. If you got a perfect score in your SATs, it means something. All these schools want you. That makes those kids think, who get those scores, that they're above other people who don't get those scores. And that enrages me. And that's why I don't like certain aspects of the school system, is they falsely advertise being perfection and being smart because you have a 4.0 or because you can do all this shit. And so going back to this quote I stated earlier, just because you have a 4.0 and just because you got into some Ivy League college and just because you have a perfect score in the SATs or the ACTs, it does not mean you're smart. I'm sorry to rain on your parade if you thought that, but it doesn't. Anyone can get those scores. Anyone can get straight A's. You just have to be willing to. I could have done it. The kids who flunked out of high school could have done it. They just didn't want to. Sorry for the change in terrible lighting and location, but we have some guests over, so booked it upstairs. Now I'm really close. Long story short, I hope this video is a bit more coherent than the last one, but probably wasn't because I forget what I say 5 seconds later. And there's probably a point to this and I never got to. But here's my point now, if you didn't get it, that don't confuse education with intelligence. Just because you don't have a 4.0, just because you don't have straight A's, that doesn't mean you're dumb. It does not mean you're dumb at all. As long as you try your best, cool, that's great. People like to assume that if you do well in school, you're smart because it's the easy way out. It's easy to assume that we can measure intelligence by a test. So don't let these tests, like if you're in high school, don't let these tests drive you nuts. Try your best, study for them, but if you happen to get a poor grade, don't stress out about it. It's not that big of a deal. The world will not be over. Your parents may think it is, and they might flip out on you, but you just have to realize that you can go far regardless. There are no boundaries in life. You can be whoever you want to be, and you don't, as long as you're passionate with it and you're willing to work for it, it doesn't matter how you did in high school. It doesn't matter how you did it in college. It doesn't even matter if you go to college. You can be who you want to be, and you don't have to listen to society's rule that you have to get an education, you have to go to college. You don't. Not college isn't for everyone. Some people just want to work, go into a trade or workforce. You know, it's up to you. It's your life. School isn't for everyone, and just because it's not for you doesn't mean you're beneath anyone who does go to school. And I just want you guys to know that. And so don't stress out about it so much. Do try your best. Don't be completely lazy where you flunk out of high school. But be a kid. And don't spend your whole day locked up in a room to get these straight A's. Just be yourself. Be a kid. Don't be stupid. Now, don't do stupid things. Don't get killed or something. But be a kid. Study. Try your best. And if you happen to fail a test, the world's not over. Just try harder next time. And ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Some people like to believe that if you ask for help, you're dumb and you don't know what you're doing. No, you just can't comprehend it yet. And you need someone to explain to you a bit slower. And that doesn't mean you're dumb. So that's all I really have to say. Just because you have an education doesn't mean you're smart. To me, basically, an education only implies memorization, whereas passion is equivalent to intelligence. And that's my little change of that quote. Passion is the equivalent to intelligence, whereas education is the equivalent to memorization. That's what I'm going to say because I honestly think it's true. You can memorize and get a grade. You can get a GPA by memorizing a bunch of crap, but if you have a passion for something, that's when you're intelligent in it. And I want to flip this kind of over, and I want to also state that just because you do well in education doesn't mean you're dumb. If you have a passion to do well and you actually learn the material, you can become intelligent in that subject. I'm only saying that if you're only memorizing this crap to get a grade and you do well in it, that doesn't make you smart. because you're going to forget that crap later. But if you're actually learning this stuff because it intrigues you and you're passionate about it, then yeah, of course you're intelligent in it. That's great because you actually learned it. You're not just memorizing it for a test. So please don't take it the wrong way when I say that education doesn't equal intelligence, because it can, but it doesn't measure intelligence, and just don't. And if you're actually learning, then great. But if you're just memorizing, that's where that quote kind of comes in handy for it. So I hope that wasn't too confusing, and I hope I didn't offend anyone. So yeah, that's about it. See you. Bye, guys. It wasn't until high school when that started to change. And in high school, my grades started to drop one by one, by one, by one, by one. I remember getting so upset with myself because I couldn't get an A on the test. I would get a B or a C. And what does that prove? Like, this is my point, guys. Like, so many people put so much emphasis on a letter grade or a number, a 4.0 or 3.5. Like, there's so much stress on those things, and they mean nothing. Not nothing, but they don't measure your intelligence.